Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. A journalist shares what he's heard about William Saliba's injury ahead of Liverpool. William Saliba will be managed very carefully by Arsenal as they try to get to grips with his injury situation. The French defender went off injured against Sporting last month with a back problem, and he is not played since. We have not had any official update on Saliba's situation from the club, but according to Tom Canton, speaking on the Gunner Talk YouTube channel, the defender will be managed very carefully by Arsenal and he won't be thrown in against Liverpool unless the club are 100% sure he can handle that game. Canton shared what he knows about Saliba. He said, our headline story of the day is updates on the injury and contract front with William Saliba. It's said that the club, and this is my understanding now, they are going to take things very carefully with Saliba. Yes, they will push him, but they are going to take things carefully. It's not the case that they are going to throw him in against Liverpool unless they are 100% sure he can cope with that. While it's frustrating to see Saliba sidelined for massive games of this caliber, patience is key here. A back injury is no laughing matter. If these problems are aggravated further, they could stick with Saliba for his entire career. While the current title push is hugely important, what is more important is Saliba's long-term future at the heart of the Arsenal defense. The 22-year-old has so much of his career still ahead of him, and rushing him back from injury could be dangerous in the long term. Rob Holding has a big job on his hands in the coming weeks, that's for sure. Bukayo Saka was playing through illness against Leeds. Bukayo Saka was actually feeling unwell at the weekend, according to Adrian Clarke. The Arsenal winger was reportedly too unwell to start the match, and according to Clarke, the club kept his illness quiet. Interestingly, this isn't the first time we have heard such a story about the weekend. Ben White was also apparently playing through illness. Clarke spoke about Saka's status to Ian Stone and Amy Lawrence on the Handbrake Off podcast. The ex-player turned journalist shared what he knows about Saka. He said, in terms of leaving Bukayo Saka on the bench, there was talk that he was unwell the day before. If you are going to rest him for any game, Leeds at home isn't a bad one. Was he unwell or has he just been playing too much with England? Amy Lawrence pondered. Clarke replied, no, he was unwell. I heard it from various sources on the day. They said that they kept that on the lowdown, but he was unwell. I think Mikel likes to keep a player sticking over and after the game. He did the running with the subs, so he was clearly well enough to be in the matchday squad. Saka may have been unwell at the weekend, but he pushed through his issue to come off the bench and make an appearance for the Gunners. At times like this, with so much on the line, you have to just push through these issues and make sure that you are playing as much as possible. Yes, it's uncomfortable to play through illness. In fact, it's a horrible feeling, but you have to just power through and get on with it when there is a Premier League title to be won. Fingers crossed Saka will be fully recovered soon. Kevin Campbell says Emile Smith Rowe could now be key. Kevin Campbell has tipped Emile Smith Rowe to have a part to play for Arsenal between now and the end of the season. Speaking on the Highbury Squad YouTube channel, Campbell has discussed Smith Rowe and the impact the midfielder could end up having between now and the end of the season. The 22-year-old's campaign has been plagued by injuries, meaning that he hasn't been able to start a single game during this campaign, but despite this, Campbell has claimed that he could have a key part to play between now and the end of the season. Indeed, Campbell says that Smith Rowe is the type of player who can create a moment of magic from nowhere, and he can see him making an impact in the coming weeks. Campbell tipped Smith Rowe to show up. He said, when he gets his opportunity, he is going to have to take it. Who knows? We might just need him at a certain point of a game to bring a bit of magic. It might now be a goal, it could just be a drop of a shoulder and a pass. That might be it. He still has a big part to play. Campbell may well be right. Smith Rowe certainly has what it takes to make himself a hero between now and the end of the season, and at times like this, unlikely heroes do emerge. Who would have thought Reece Nelson would get his moment against Bournemouth, or going back a few years, who would have picked Batshuayi to be the one to win the league for Chelsea, or for Macheda to do the business for Manchester United all those years ago? Smith Rowe hasn't been a key player in this title push, but don't be too shocked if he comes up with the goods in a key moment before the end of this campaign. Mikel Arteta could sell Kieran Tierney if he gets injured again. Kevin Campbell has claimed that Kieran Tierney's Arsenal future could depend on his fitness. The left back hasn't gotten much of a chance with the North London club this season, and according to Campbell, his future could well depend on his fitness. Indeed, the Pundit said, speaking on the Hybrid Squad YouTube channel, another injury for the left back could sound the death knell for his career at the Emirates Stadium, as he may ultimately prove to be way too unreliable to be a future for Arsenal. Campbell put out a warning about Tierney and his fitness. He said, "Let me just say this as a devil's advocate. Kieran Tierney has struggled with fitness and with injury. I am not saying that's why we bought Zinchenko, because Arteta knows the impact he can make, but if there are more games for Tierney and he breaks down, that could be the death knell for him, because as a manager, you have to rely on your defenders." Campbell isn't wrong. Tierney's fitness is becoming more and more of a concern at Arsenal. Yes, he is a talented player, but if he is not available for selection half the time, there is no point in having him on the books at the club. As has been said 1,000 times in the past, the best ability is availability, and while Tierney definitely has what it takes to be a key player for Arsenal, his body needs to be at that level too. Any more injuries could spell the end of Tierney's time at Arsenal, and that's a real shame. However, Mikel Arteta has to do what is right for his team, and there is no room for sentiment when you are chasing major trophies. Kevin Campbell says Leandro Trossard isn't just like Santi Cazorla on the ball. Kevin Campbell has now compared Leandro Trossard to Santi Cazorla. Speaking on the Highbury squad, Campbell was full of praise for the Belgian attacker, stating that he is the biggest impactor in the Arsenal squad and that he is taken to life in North London like a duck to water. The Pundit spoke very highly of the winger, and he says that he can see similarities between Trossard and Santi Cazorla, stating that his quick foot and his vision remind him of the Spanish midfielder. Campbell hailed the midfielder. He said, "If you told me that Trossard would have had this impact in such a short space of time, if he had half the impact, I'd have been happy. Wearing that badge is heavy, but he's taken to it like a dog to water. He can play across the front line. He is the biggest impactor of all. We need him to keep making an impact for the next 9 games, that's for sure. They don't play in the same spot, but I can see the comparison because he has such a quick feet, like Santi did in the middle of the pitch. He can see things quickly, and Santi saw things quickly. He was a steal at £21 million. Campbell has compared Trossard to Cazorla, and while we can see that, he is also so much more. Indeed, as scary as it sounds, Trossard actually possesses some qualities that Cazorla never did. He has much more pace and is more lethal in front of goal. Of course, that comes with the territory of being an attacker, but it just goes to show how talented the former Brighton man is and what a steal the Gunners got here. Gabriel Vega and Guardiola update will interest Arsenal. Arsenal are being linked with a move for young starlet Gabriel Vega this summer, and he could be out to change his agent. The Gunners are among a cluster of clubs keen on signing Vega this summer. The Celta Vigo youngster is regarded as one of the hottest prospects in Europe right now and could cost as much as £35 million. And according to the Daily Mail, Vega could be about to make a big change when it comes to his agent. The Mail reports how Vega has invited a number of different agencies and individuals to make a play to represent him ahead of this summer. Among them is Pep Guardiola's brother, Pere Guardiola. The brother of the Manchester City boss represents the large agency firm SEG and is said to be keen to get Vega among his client base. Vega, of course, is being courted by a host of clubs. Arsenal are known to have had him watched already, but there is interest from Man City, Tottenham, and more as well. Whoever does end up representing Vega this summer is set for a busy few months, it seems. Arsenal will be keen on finding out what Gabriel Vega's plans are here. The youngster is clearly one of the top talents in Europe, and he is obviously getting ready for interest. The Gunners will want to know just where he sees his next steps. He is a player Mikel Arteta is said to be a big fan of, so the links with the Guardiola family could change things. Dusan Vlahovic transfer stance if Arsenal win the Premier League. Arsenal were heavily linked with a move to sign Dusan Vlahovic 18 months ago, and the Gunners could try their luck again this summer. Vlahovic was one of the most feared strikers in Italy when he was at Fiorentina. He was absolutely unplayable at times, and that convinced Mikel Arteta that he was the right man to replace Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Arsenal in January last year. The Serbian, however, rejected the Gunners and joined Juventus instead for a little under £67 million. Dusan Vlahovic and Juventus are both having a torrid campaign. Following their 15-point deduction, the Old Lady are now 7th in the Serie A table, and it's extremely unlikely that they will qualify for the Champions League next season unless they get their points back. Vlahovic, as a result, is looking around, and Pete O'Rourke has suggested that the Serbian will be interested in joining Arsenal this summer, especially if Arteta's men win the Premier League title. The journalist told Give Me Sport, Vlahovic was a big target for Arsenal prior to his move to Juventus. They have been keeping tabs on his situation, and a number 9 is a position that Arteta would like to strengthen for next season as well. I am sure Vlahovic would definitely be interested in a move to Arsenal, especially if they win the Premier League and are playing in the Champions League next season as well. Arsenal have been linked with numerous strikers over the last few days, which does suggest that the Gunners are looking to bring in a new man up top. However, do they really need one? Arteta has Gabriel Jesus, Edin Ketia, and Leandro Trossard up top, while Gabriel Martinelli can also play there. Young Folarin Balogun, who is having an incredible season on loan in France, will also come back in the summer. That's plenty of options right there for Arsenal, but Vlahovic is a completely different profile compared to the above names, and that could be why the Gunners are looking at him. Chelsea hold talks over beating Arsenal to potential £60 million transfer Rasmus Højlund. Chelsea have reportedly ramped up their interest in Atalanta striker Rasmus Højlund and recently held talks over a potential transfer. The exciting young Denmark international has impressed in recent times, and it looks like there could be a hotly contested battle for his signature this summer. A report from Calcio Mercato recently suggested that Arsenal were in pole position to sign Højlund, but this seems like it could be a saga with plenty of twists and turns yet. According to the Daily Mail, Chelsea seem to have stepped up their efforts to sign Højlund, inviting Atalanta chairman Antonio Persasi to watch the recent win over Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. The Blues could do with a lethal finisher like Højlund, though the Mail state that he could cost as much as £60 million. One imagines a move to Arsenal might also be more appealing right now, as the Gunners will surely have a Champions League football on offer at the Emirates Stadium next season, whilst also generally looking much further along in their project than Chelsea. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.